In the vast expanse of the Pacific, where the sky meets endless water and waves carry the echoes of battles long forgotten, there lived a story of one man whose actions changed the course of a war that shaped the world. A story buried under decades of military reports, testimonies, broken memories, in the silent blue ocean. This is the story of a Japanese pilot whose courage, brilliance, and conflicting loyalty altered the Pacific War in a way few truly understand today, and his name still drifts like a ghost through military history, whispered by those who study strategy and fate. To understand his journey, we must first return to a time when the Pacific was not a peaceful horizon, but a battlefield stretching thousands of kilometers where steel birds screamed through the sky and nations wagered their future on fleets' airfields and the skill of pilots who became legends or vanished in fire. He was born into a Japan rising rapidly in industry and ambition, a Japan that believed its empire would stretch across the Pacific. He grew up watching military planes carving arcs through the sky, dreaming of flying among them, and by the time he became a young man, the world had already begun to march toward conflict. When he joined the Imperial Japanese Navy Air Service, he was not just another recruit. He was a prodigy. Instructors watched him fly with astonishment. His instincts were uncanny. He could predict enemy maneuvers before they happened. His hands were steady, his eyes sharp, and his understanding of aerial combat seemed almost prophetic. Every officer who trained him whispered that he was destined for greatness, and when tensions exploded into war, he was thrust into the center of it all. Japan launched its sweeping offensives across the Pacific, and with every battle he proved himself again and again. His combat record soared, his reputation spread, and soon he was selected for missions of critical importance. Missions that demanded not only skill, but absolute precision and unshakable nerve. The Pacific skies became his domain, a realm where he danced with death and returned victorious. But it was during one mission that his fate and the fate of the war changed forever. It was the early phase of the conflict when Japanese forces seemed unstoppable. Island after island fell. Their fleets dominated the seas and their aircraft reigned. Supreme American forces were reeling and scrambling to resist. But intelligence, the silent force that shapes battles far more than bullets, was becoming a decisive factor. Unknowingly, this brilliant pilot was about to set off a chain of events that would deliver one of the most critical turning points in the entire Pacific War. He was chosen for a deep reconnaissance mission far from base flying, over contested waters and regions where American forces might be hiding vital assets. He was given strict orders: gather information, locate enemy positions, report back, nothing more. But as soon as he took off, he felt a strange weight in his chest, as if destiny itself had taken a seat beside him. He flew low through shifting clouds, scanning the sea and sky. But what he found was far beyond anything his commanders expected. He discovered movements, patterns, and preparations that revealed a much larger American operation underway, one that would strike at the very heart of Japanese strategy. He observed carefully, piecing together details that most pilots would overlook, and in a moment of extraordinary clarity, he uncovered the buildup leading to one of the most decisive battles of the war, the Battle of Midway. But destiny did not let him return so easily. On his journey back, he was intercepted. A squadron of American fighters descended from the sun, a classic tactic designed to blind enemy pilots. He fought with unmatched skill, maneuvering through the sky, but the odds were overwhelming. Bullets tore through his aircraft, flames erupted, and smoke filled the cockpit. He struggled to control the burning machine, and in a final desperate act, he attempted to steer toward friendly waters, but the aircraft plunged into the ocean. Hours passed, then days he drifted alone on a shattered wing, floating like a survivor lost between war and oblivion. But fate had other plans. He He was found not by his own Navy, but by an American patrol vessel, and from that moment everything changed. The Americans realized they had captured not just a pilot, but a highly skilled officer who had witnessed Japanese strategy firsthand. He was taken to an interrogation center where intelligence officers studied him carefully for days. He said nothing, enduring every question with stoic silence. But gradually isolation, exhaustion, and the realization that he might never return home broke open cracks in his armor. He began to speak not with treason in his heart, but with a conflicted sense of honor. He believed the war was spiraling into disaster. He believed countless lives were being thrown into battles that could be prevented. And he believed Japan had miscalculated the resolve of its enemy. His words provided clues, patterns, hints, and confirmations that American intelligence desperately needed. Voices in the room captured every detail, and slowly a picture emerged. His testimony aligned with code breakers who had already begun to decipher Japanese naval communications. His insights validated their predictions, strengthened their confidence, and guided their decisions. Because of him, key American commanders gained the final pieces of intelligence necessary to prepare for the Japanese attack at Midway. They positioned their carriers, laid their traps, and waited. The result became legendary. The Japanese Navy walked directly into an American ambush, losing 4 frontline carriers and hundreds of elite aviators, a blow so devastating that Japan never fully recovered from it. Historians call Midway the turning point of the Pacific War, but hidden behind cryptic intelligence reports and classified notes lay the truth that this pilot had unknowingly accelerated Japan's downfall and changed the balance of power in the Pacific forever. But his story does not end there. After the war, he faced the impossible. The prospect of returning home was dangerous. Many would see his cooperation, even if unintentional, as betrayal. Others would call him a tragic victim of circumstance. He was offered the chance to remain abroad, far from the land he once served, but his heart longed for home, and eventually, under a new era of peace, he returned quietly without recognition, without honors, living in the shadows of a nation rebuilding from ruins. He never sought fame. He never sought forgiveness. He lived simply, humbly, carrying the weight of history on his shoulders. Those who met him described a man of quiet dignity, a man haunted not by guilt, but by the heavy knowledge that a single life can shift the course of nations. He watched Japan transform into a peaceful modern society, and in his final years, he spoke rarely about the war. But when he did, he emphasized that every soldier on every side suffers in ways the world rarely sees. He believed that the true cost of war is measured not only in battles lost or won, but in the silent burdens carried by those who survive. Scholars who later uncovered fragments of his story debated endlessly. Was he a hero? Was he a tragic figure? Was he the catalyst of a turning point, or merely a man swept up by fate? But one thing remains clear: without his actions, without his reconnaissance, without his unintended guidance, the Pacific War might have unfolded very differently. He was a reminder that war is shaped not only by generals, admirals, and governments, but by individuals whose choices, intentional or accidental, create ripples that become waves, waves that reshape history. Today, his story stands as a quiet echo in the vast archives of the Pacific War. Rarely spoken, rarely acknowledged, but undeniably powerful. A story of a pilot who changed the war without ever intending, to a man whose skill, bravery, and fate intertwined to alter the destiny of nations. And though his name may not be carved into monuments, his legacy lives in every study of strategy, every reconstruction of Midway, and every reflection on how a single moment, a single decision, or a single survivor can change the world. And so the sky over the Pacific where he once flew now remains peaceful, silent, and free. a testament to the countless lives shaped by his unintended impact. His story floats in the wind carried by history, reminding us that even in the largest wars, sometimes it is the smallest threads that determine everything.